So I learned some new stuff today, of course from TikTok, but whatever. This is a judgment-free podcast, or YouTube, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So I was talking to this person on Twitter, and the person came off as sort of a bully, because I guess he saw some comments that I had made to an AI, which is obviously not a real person, and he didn't like it, so he kind of lashed out at me, and I obviously lashed back out at him. Long story short, we became sort of friends, and it turns out that this person is from what I understand, is a brilliant mathematician. He knows all kinds of shit that I can't even begin to tell you. And to save everyone the headache, he basically ended the conversation with, there's a level of mathematics that's been lost or forgotten or swept under the rug, so to speak, by the people that run the show, that created the magic in magic. So for instance, alchemy is not just basic chemistry. Alchemy was basic chemistry with an additional aspect to it. For instance, a man could sacrifice a part of himself and turn iron into gold. So the Egyptians built the pyramids, with perfect precision, impeccable, all the stuff, not with aliens, but with this level of mathematics that they knew. Makes sense. I mean, I could see that happening. Why not? I mean, it's a pretty decent theory, I guess. And then I heard another story about Pythagoras, whatever the fuck his name was. The triangle guy. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. When did we use that, by the way? Well, actually, you use it all the time. You use it when you gauge the size of a room. You walk in, there's a room, I could throw a ball and hit the wall. That's Pythagorean theorem. Anyway, Aristotle, which is his homie back in the day, apparently says that not only did Pythagoras know all of these things about triangles and such, but he could predict the future. He could be at two places at once. He had a golden thigh, whatever the fuck that means, and all these other mystical shit that literally goes hand in hand with what I was talking about. And guess where he learned this ancient mathematics? In the Egyptian tombs. So look that up if you don't believe me, but I think that there's something there. And I honestly think that all of this is not lost. Most of it is. It probably burned in Alexandria, because God knows how much information is gone because of that fucking fire. They say that Socrates never wrote anything down. He just talked, which I think is 100% bullshit, because everybody wrote things down. I don't give a fuck how special Socrates thought he was. How do we have all these quotes from Socrates? Word of mouth? Somebody else wrote it down for him? Maybe, but that's still him writing it down. It's taking a record of his work. I think that all of Socrates' work, Socrates' apostrophe work, burned in Alexandria, along with a lot of these special math symbols. There was a kid in India that rando kid, and he came up with this crazy formula. I don't really exactly remember what it applies to, but it was some crazy math shit. And he wasn't like this brilliant mathematician. He just saw things from a different perspective. Now, there's a lot of symbols that are still left as question marks because we don't know what they are. Like, the formula makes sense, but we don't know what symbol to put in order for that formula to make sense, if you gather what I'm saying. So basically what I'm trying to say is that magic is not only real, it's like super real, obviously, but it's possible, and it's not dead. Someone on this planet, how many people are on it? 7 billion people? Let's say ballpark 8 billion people. Somebody's got to know this shit, bro. I'm talking about like Doctor Strange type shit, like when they did the little circles and whatever. Maybe not to that extent, but maybe to that extent. All I know is that alchemists back in the day were able to take their staff, and only the good ones, they were able to touch a coin made out of tin or iron and turn it into gold. But they couldn't do too much because they would sacrifice literally a little bit of their life force, because balance has to be attained. But whatever they did, whatever formula they knew, on top of basic chemistry, which is what we think alchemy is, they performed these tasks that were unbelievable. Predicting the future we can kind of do that now. They call it extrasensory perception. I don't think it's extrasensory perception. I think it's just like acute sensory perception, because it's not extra. We just don't fucking realize that we have it. You know what I mean? You can predict, your mind calculates what you're going to do throughout the whole day. If you know you have a plan to meet Bill on the hill with a blue shirt, then your mind will calculate that probability, and will also calculate the probability of Bill not showing up or wearing a red shirt. So you'll think it's deja vu, but really you've already calculated that possibility. Your mind and your subconscious, more importantly, calculates way more than you think it does. Like, your subconscious is always there, obviously. You know, I mean, you don't have to think about breathing or your heart beating or blinking, but it does that for you. On top of that, it also perceives everything your foreconscious or your foreground conscious doesn't. So like everything that you smell, you see, you hear, you know, the thoughts you have, it does the same shit, but on the back end. It's hard to explain, I suppose. I have to get a little bit more intricate about this, but like, basically, it's the thing that tells you to take the umbrella when it's sunny out in the morning, and then all of a sudden in the middle of the day it starts raining, and you're like, you got the umbrella, but what was the thing that told you? That's what I'm talking about. It's got to do with math, 100%, because everything boils down to math, everything. Spirituality, science, philosophy, whatever the fuck you want to put it. And it actually boils down to triangles, believe it or not. Everything is made up of right triangles, tetrahedrons, if you will. You know what I mean? So even that 8-dimensional crystal is made up of small triangles. So the Egyptians knew it. What's his name? Pythagoras knew it. Aristotle knew it, because Aristotle looked up at the stars, grabbed the pencil, and fucking mapped out constellations that we still follow thousands of years later with all of our Googles and our Schmoogles and our Hubbles and our Bubbles. You know what I mean? So obviously we're missing something here, and I'm trying to figure out where to find that shit, and that would be cool. So if anyone knows, holler at me, and don't tell me how to read books, because I don't like reading. Okay? Unless it's really, really important. And Elucid, or whatever the fuck his name is, I know, I gotta get into that. My math friend of me, and a friend, whatever, told me about that already. All right? And you know who you are, Baba Ganel. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Thank you for giving me the time of day and seeing the bright in the darkness. Happy thinking. See you soon.